Welcome to the Relationship Revolutions podcast with Alan Watts, the love engineer. The world needs more healthy, loving, and lasting relationships, yet school does not teach how to attract, build, and keep them.
G'day and welcome to the latest edition of Relationship Revolutions. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Goddess Andrea, who's a Tantra teacher among many other things. So we're going to talk a little bit about Tantra and relationships. But first off, I'd like to ask this one question that a lot of people are going to come up with. Why do you call yourself a goddess?
Why do I call myself a goddess? Oh, okay. So when I started my Tantra journey in life, I was like, oh, maybe I'll be a mistress. So I tried using that name for a little while, but everybody really thought that I was BDSM and kink and the heavy things because of the word mistress. Also, then I tried something else. I don't remember what it was, and it didn't go over very good. But ever since I've used goddess, it seems to be just very nice. And I like in what I've been taught in Tantra too, in a relationship, every woman is a goddess, and every woman needs a masculine god or man around them so that the man can be that grounded statue with the feet planted on the ground, and the woman is able to run, float around, do whatever she needs to do and be up in the air and stuff as we are, but you have that solid grounding you can always hold on to and go back to. Then that is why I chose the goddess, because sometimes I am way up in the clouds and I need to remind myself that I need to be grounded and bring myself back down to reality and earth. So
Excellent. What comes up for me when you talk about that grounding and sort of, I don't necessarily want to say being all over the place, but yeah, that is kind of what can happen. And when I sort of look at how I interact with my good lady, I kind of see it as like I'm standing on the floor. There's a little cord between us, and she's like a kite. She can go this way, that way, up, down, forwards, backwards. But if she's heading towards crashing and burning, I can just tweak that little string and she goes back up again.
yeah, exactly. It's just being able to have the freedom to be yourself, because men and women, if you're in a man and woman relationship, there's balances, right? And women have think differently and act differently and be differently than men do.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's the man being able to allow that woman to have her space and do what she needs to do, and he will always just be there because he's happy and content being there. He doesn't want to be doing all those other things. His mentality, space, and that kind of stuff just doesn't really allow for him to even do that anyway, because most of the time men are like, why are you doing that? Right?
Yeah, we're quite simple, really.
Yeah. And so this just gives the woman the ability to be the free person that she is, but she has that grounding near her that she can use and utilize, and even be able, when women need to ground themselves, we have something to hold on to.
Beautiful. And so I know from knowing you quite well myself, having had many chats over the last couple of years in the Love Shack and wherever else, that Tantra hasn't been a lifelong thing for you. So would you like to share a little bit about your journey so all the listeners can learn a little bit about where you came from?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was married for 18 years and we struggled a lot in our relationship, and we found Tantra about 3 years before I left this marriage, and we started to practice it and do it, and I really enjoyed it. I really loved the connection it meant to create. Unfortunately, it didn't work for my marriage. So when I left my husband, I went and took my Tantra practitioner training in Vancouver, Canada. And then I started practicing Tantra with the relationships that I have and I'm in, and I'm it opens up like communication and the feeling of deep connection. And I'm not exactly sure why I was so attracted to it, but I really could feel it could have made a really big difference in my marriage relationship if the other person had have showed up for it. It does take two, and you need to have a belief of there's a higher power out there, something is there to help you create the connection you're looking for in your life. Because sometimes, and which just from being married, I was feeling completely disconnected from my husband, and I really wanted to do that. So with my now relationship, which I've been with my man for 7 years, we practice Tantra, we do the work, and the connection is really deep. It just allows me to do what I want to do. It allows him to do what he wants to do. We can remain separate beings and not have to like put each other together. You know how everyone or people, men, women, when they're married, they feel like they're one connection, right? They're just a one body, one person. And I enjoy that, but I also enjoy being my own self. And I like to keep my energy to myself unless I choose to give it to you. And in that moment, we can share that energy. But then the rest of the time, I get to keep my energy. You get to keep yours. And we can make our own decisions in life. It helped me become more of an independent person, or interdependent, I should say. We don't depend on each other, but we definitely are there for each other, and we talk and communicate on a level that I never knew was possible. And I do believe that's because of the connection that Tantra creates. And yeah, we can it just opens up. For me, I was not looking for a relationship when I found this one. And I found him right as I started my Tantra journey. And I explained to him what I was doing. And I said, you got to be okay with this, because I massage naked people. And as a man, there could be jealousy, there could be stuff about that. And we worked through all of that, and I'm still doing it 7 years later in this relationship, and our relationship is very good. So I do believe it allows just so much to happen within our relationship with a lot of trust. There's no doubt that we've chosen a monogamous relationship. So that is, and it's a strong relationship. So I don't have to worry about anything. Like, I'm not jealous, or he's not wondering and jealous all the time. And if any of those things come up, we both know that all we need to do is soul gaze and then have a conversation about it, and we'll find out the truth. And there's no feelings like that heavy, hard jealousy, anger, those things, because we are connected on a deeper level that doesn't allow those feelings to penetrate in our relationship.
Beautiful. So that brings up quite a few questions for me. Certainly for a lot of people who haven't necessarily come across Tantra or really understanding what it is, like myself a few years ago, the only time I had heard the name or the word was watching one of the American Pie movies. So I'm guessing it's a little bit different to that. So for those who don't know what Tantra is, what is it?
What is it? Well, Tantra is like a spiritual practice, right? So you work with energy. We work with the chakras. You have energy alignment done. And it's really about, for me, I do the Tantra sensual massage experience in my Tantra business. So it's about deeply relaxing and feeling something more. A lot of men, so to speak, really walk away from being able to deeply relax, control their thoughts, and feel more. Like, I introduce male body orgasm to men, and most of the men that I see have never experienced a body orgasm because they just don't know that they're even capable of having one, because they're taught, and they know since very young age, like 7, 8 years old, they ejaculate. And the point of ejaculation is to create a life, right? It's to create a life. That's the point of ejaculation. So in the Tantra world, they believe that if a man keeps that life force to himself, And this is where I teach semen retention. And so you keep that to yourself and not give it away, then you're able to experience an orgasm within your body, like women have orgasms, instead of giving away that life force. And most of the men that I work with who do practice semen retention, they don't even like to ejaculate anymore. They said, like, because of how much it drains them, normally you ejaculate and then you got to have a little nap after because you're so
Yep,
tired.
definitely.
But yeah, yeah. So you've given that life force away. So now you need to replenish that whole energetic. If you think of it as an energy instead of like an actual thing, right? So you bring that energy to yourself. And yeah, the men that I've worked with who do practice it, they're like, oh my God, I don't even like ejaculating anymore because it just makes me so tired. I have so much energy on an everyday basis because of this little practice that when they do give it away, that's when you realize how you've cultivated more energy, right? And I mean, there are some medical reasons why you want to ejaculate and that kind of stuff as well. So we keep that in mind. But ultimately, it's about energy and how you feel and how you are in your daily life. Like, can you? I teach this one little breathing um, technique, and it's just to clear your brain, calm down just in that moment. Once you've seen me, you then have a resource to be like, okay, this is what that deep relaxation feels like, because it is so very deeply relaxing. Most of the men, when they leave here, and my repeat clients are like, I love coming here. I feel like it's my trance time. They kind of go into a trance, into a place where they are safe to be that relaxed. They're safe to feel in their body. They're safe to stop the brain chatter and not worry about what's going on next or what didn't go on or what they forgot. And this one man that I've worked with for a couple of years, he said he decided he was going to take the breathing technique and use it in his business. And he told me, I was really super proud to hear this. He told me, since I've been doing that little technique, he says, last year my business doubled in profits. And I was like, wow, that's amazing, because it really helps you focus. It really helps you clear the plate in your brain and focus on what's most important right now. And it's really about being present in every moment in life, because we're really busy thinking about next, what's happening in our future, what didn't happen in our past. And when we take away all of that and we live right in this moment right now and what's most important right now, and we go do that, we get better results when we know how to tap into that quiet space in our brain. And so it's really about feeling more, being more focused. And it is a practice.
So, from what you're saying, with Tantra, the man can have an orgasm, not ejaculate, and be in complete control of that. So, why isn't this being taught in schools so that
Right.
guys learn how to do that all the way through their lives? Women don't need abortions or injections or coils or pills that mess around with the hormones and all that other stuff. That's nuts.
It is nuts. The prostate massage, first of all, you've got to get the body really relaxed, because the male G spot is the prostate, right? And most
Yeah.
most male masculine men are like, you ain't touching that.
One-way
No way.
valve.
Yeah, there's no way you're doing that. But then I have to explain to them that it's not like anal sex, right? There's no penetration. There's no like there's penetration, but there's no like in and out and fast moving and like sexual activity, right? Like you would in having anal play if you're in a sexual experience. It's simply just a prostate massage, and it doesn't hurt because you've got the body relaxed, and it's not like a doctor. You throw a glove on and go whoop, right in there. Everything is very, very relaxed, and it's all done, of course, with consent. Consistent consent throughout my practice is something like, I'm always asking, how does this feel? How does that feel? Because I use so many different things to massage the body with, and it's so many different feelings are going on for the person receiving it. And the prostate massage is probably one of the biggest places where a lot of men are like, Or some, like I have a lot of men who are like, okay, I'll try it. And those are the men who will actually walk away with a different feeling or I think I understand that orgasm. Like, again, it's a practice. It usually doesn't happen on the first time, but if you enjoy it, I can help you expand and grow on that so that you can get there. It's very, very cool, actually. Some of my older men, like I'm working with a man who's like 76 years old, and he has figured out that he can have an orgasm just like while he's laying in bed just by rubbing his ankle, like a spot on his ankle. Because our bodies are orgasmic, right? Like we can have orgasms anywhere in our body if we find that and allow it. And that's what Tantra does. But for men, they don't even know that they have the possibility of having a body orgasm without ejaculating. As soon as you say orgasm to a man, they automatically think ejaculation, right? So when they
Yeah.
learn that they can have a body orgasm and they're like, what? And I'm like, and my older men, it is super cool to watch because they orgasm for the experience is over and they will lay there and have orgasms for a half an hour after. I just hold them and let them have that experience and they're completely safe. And they're like, most of the time, they're like, oh my God, I wish I had learned this when I was 20 because it's such an amazing feeling. And instead of feeling drained afterwards, you walk away with energy and you walk away with vibrancy and you feel so good. Like I can just see from the time that they walked in, if they experience that type of orgasm, when they walk out, they're like standing up straighter and they're smiling and they're like, I feel so good. So it really is an amazing feeling for men if they would tap into that.
Yeah. Something or response I've had when I've spoken to women sometimes about the difference between ejaculation and orgasm within men. And some of them feel like they haven't satisfied the man if he doesn't ejaculate. So
Yeah,
can you
there's that
speak to that a little bit?
expectation. Yeah, there's an expectation. A lot of women have that expectation. A lot of women really like ejaculate, like they just do. And if that's something that you like and you want to do that, just make sure you talk to your partner about it and enjoy it, because why not? But if it's bothersome to the person, like it is possible to have a body orgasm and ejaculate. Like you can do both. So it just really is between you and your partner what you want to do. And again, for the man, if you've never done semen retention and you don't know what that feels like or looks like, it's definitely a practice. You have to practice getting there. It takes a while. I teach a 21-day semen retention for the men, and I do it through a ceremonial ritual. And so we start on the new moon and we release on the full moon. So they still get that release, but there's that 21 days of practicing the semen retention. And you just do it in that 21 days because we know about changing habits, and habit change takes 21 days to change a habit, right? So when you're trying something new, you got to do it for 21 days to get it to get it in you implemented, right? And so it is a practice. But yeah, women really like that too. And I think that's just more about communicating. Um, the one man that I know that he really does not like to ejaculate at all. And he does not ever run out of energy either. Right. So I'm pretty sure his lady is super happy because she can have sex with him whenever she wants and never has to worry about waiting 20 minutes or an hour afterwards. They could just go again. You know, it just depends on the woman and the man and their relationship. But there are women that really think that they didn't do a good job. So the thing that I tell couples when I'm with my couples in their relationship is drop all your expectations and everything you know. Because if you bring that in and that's an expectation, in my experience with you, that's not going to happen. Right. So and if you want that to happen in your relationship, as long as you're talking about it and it's communicated and it's okay with both partners. But I know that the men that I know who do practice it, they will straight up say, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that because of how they become afterwards. And so
Yeah.
you obviously have to meet the right woman or have that explanation. Again, bottom line of anything that you practice is going to be communication with your partner. But if your partner really wants that, then you have to decide if you're going to provide that for her or not.
Yeah, and communication's another whole podcast on its own. Another thing that doesn't get taught in schools. They teach you
Right.
how to read, write, but not communicate. But if they did, I think it would be a very different world.
I think you're right. And yeah, men should explore their bodies, and men are told not to, right? They're not, they're they're men. They're just have this, their junk is their stuff and that's what they got and there's nothing more to it. But in reality, there's so much more to it. And even for women,
Yeah,
like most men or women don't even know that women have like 11 places that they could possibly have an orgasm right off the bat, not including the rest of the body. Those spots are there all the time, and they can induce a body orgasm with all of these spots. But they also can do it. Like I've massaged a lady and she had an orgasm when I massaged the back of her knee, or the small of the back is another place that women really
yeah,
enjoy. And it's just knowing your body, and we're not taught to touch ourselves and feel ourselves and see what feels good. What touch do you like? Do you like a harder touch? Do you like a lighter touch? I do not like light touches, like, you run your fingers gently on somebody's neck or back or arm. People that like those tickly things. Do not touch me that way. So that's like, if I don't tell somebody that, that's almost like the go-to touch that everybody has. As soon as they go to, like,
yeah,
you're laying there sitting beside each other, there'll be like a light stroke on my arm or something. I'll be like, why are you doing that? Like, did you even ask me if you could touch me like that? And that's what we don't do either, is get consent when we go to touch somebody, right? Like, can I hug you? Most people just go for a hug instead of asking first. And I think that's something we need to implement in our world, is consent. Like,
yeah,
have consensual sex, have consensual touch, have consensual communication. When we include consent, then you don't question, like, how many times do you let a woman do something to your body that you don't really enjoy, but you just let her do it anyway because, like, oh, I don't want to say that that's doesn't feel good. We have this thing about, if it doesn't feel good, we're not allowed to talk about it. Whereas in Tantra, I want you to talk about it and tell me. And I will tell you straight up, please don't touch me like that. I do not enjoy that. Right. So whatever you like is awesome. Whatever you don't like is also awesome. Because we don't say, hey, as a woman, if you're a man's down there doing some things, we're not like, hey, that doesn't feel very good. Can you move a little to the left or move up a bit? We just lay there and take it. But if we actually asked for what felt good, then we would be able to experience more orgasmic feelings, more pleasure in our life, because we can ask for it. We can, in that moment, again, being really present, saying, hey, I'm not quite enjoying this. Can we try something a little bit different? But then there's the emotional part of, like, the men are like, oh my God, I'm not pleasing her. Oh God. But instead of thinking of that and using her no as a guidance so that you can learn what she likes, it can actually lead to quite amazing experiences if you're willing to accept whatever isn't feeling good for her and just changing it up a little bit. And same with the woman. If you're not enjoying something, being able to say, hey, honey, that doesn't feel good. Can we try something different? Or can you try this? But then the woman will be like, oh God, I'm not good enough. I'm not. But it's not that at all. It's just us being able to speak what we like and what we don't like, because everyone
yeah.
still has the same parts, but everyone enjoys them differently.
Yeah, because I think what a lot of people do when they go out of one relationship into another, they'll have certain things that worked with the last partner, whether it's a way of massaging or something sexual or more intimate, and then they move on to the next one. And it's almost as if there's an expectation that those things that worked with this one will work with the next one. And that's not always the case.
No, and that's where you need to communicate, right? Like, even bottom line is communication. Even in Tantra, like, before I do a massage, I actually say, it's all right. Even though they know they're coming for a massage, I'm like, it's all right, I touch you. And they're like, well, I'm here, aren't I? I'm like, but I need your consent to touch you. They're like, people don't understand how consent works.
Yeah.
If I have your consent, then I feel free to touch your body wherever I'm touching it. And you have said yes to this. I don't want anyone ever to come back and say, you didn't ask me if you could touch me. Right. But I do that in my life. Like, even with my kids, I know they're older and they're grown, but I'm like, come here and give your mom a hug, and if they said no, I would be okay with that, because
Yeah.
no is an acceptable answer when it comes to consent, but we don't normally, humans do not think no is an acceptable answer, and they get offended when they say no. And so what I teach in Tantra, if you get offended when your partner says no to you or somebody says no to you, is remember that when somebody says no, that's them setting a boundary, and you can just simply honor that boundary. Thank you for honoring yourself. Thank you for making that boundary with yourself. Now I know. If we just took no as knowing that that is your boundary, and thank you for sharing that, thank you for honoring yourself, no wouldn't be such a hard thing to have, right? Especially in a sexual, sensual moment. No should be, we should want those no's. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. I don't want to do what you don't like. I want to do more of what you like. So if you're not enjoying it, please tell me. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because if no one tells you, how the hell do you know? Because let's face it,
Right.
neither men nor women are telepathic mind readers. Although, yes, some of us can read a little bit of body language, not that much.
Right.
Half of us, like the number of times my partner says to me, well, what's going on? What's your face doing? I have no idea. I'm not connected to it. I don't know what's doing, what is going on. I can't see it.
Yeah,
Crazy.
exactly. But that's just like knowing your body and knowing boundaries and communicating what you need. And that's what I love about Tantra, that no becomes gentle. It's like, because you're also asking, how does that feel? How does that feel? You're constantly wanting to know. And then there's lots of times I get, you know what, I don't really enjoy that. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to do that again with you. But the last person that I massaged loved that, right? So everybody, we might have the same stuff, but it's totally different. And like even as
Yeah.
simple as the back massage, one technique one person will like, the next, that same technique another person won't like. But that's continued consent. How does this feel? How are you feeling? How's the brain chatter? I really like stopping men's brain chatter because they really don't believe it's possible. There's so much going
Yeah.
on in their brains so often. So every part of the day is like about fixing all the things in their world. So when they enter my realm and they have to stop that, and I get so many people saying, you are not going to stop my brain chatter. And by the time I'm done massaging their back, I whisper in their ear, how's the brain chatter?
Yeah.
And 90% of the time they're like, what brain chatter?
What?
Yeah, they're like, I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Because when you actually allow your brain to slow down, you actually allow your body to feel. And with the people that I coach, I do body check-ins, right? So check in with your body. If your brain is like all over the place and doesn't know what it's doing, because our brains are really good at lying to us. So if we're caught up in our brain and we can't make a decision, just put your right hand on your heart, take a couple of breaths and say, what's most important right now, and feel it in your body. Check in with your body, because your body will always give you the right answer. If it's a no in your body, it's a no. If it's a yes in your body, it's a yes. So go for it. So feeling in our bodies is really important, like that connection, mind, body, soul, having all of them working together. Amazing. So when we put those all together, we're able to clear our brain and do what's actually best for us right now.
Yeah. Because so often we're just not present,
Yeah.
whether it's the thoughts of tomorrow's business meeting or a family function in 6 years' time that you're already dreading, or something that's happened in the past, whether you're in the past or the future, you're not in the now.
Exactly. And that's what I really try to show people how to do that, even in my coaching business, is how can you be present in this moment with yourself so that you can make the best decision for yourself. And most people don't even know how to start that, because we're
Yeah.
not taught. We're not taught how to control our thoughts. We're not taught that these thoughts are not us. It's not, where our brain just has
Yeah.
this information. It's like a place to collect data and store information. And we should feel, not think about it, feel about it. And then if it feels really good, then go for it. Have you ever done anything that didn't really feel good, but your brain's like, do it, do it, do it. And then it turns out to be a real shit situation because you listen to your brain and not your body. That's what I share with people is tap into this body, get to know this body, love this body, and let your brain basically go away, because the brain is there for information, but our thoughts are not who we are, but we get caught up in our head. So then we think we're not good enough. We're not worth it. We'll never find that relationship. We have all these faults. We have all this stuff. But what if we ignored our brain and put it to our heart, and all of a sudden our heart says, oh, yes, you are good
Yeah.
enough. Yes, you are worthy of a loving relationship. Yes, you are, because your heart wants that. But if you live in your brain, you're not going to feel your heart.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of people that don't realize there actually is a little brain in the heart.
There
And
is.
when you look into the way the differences between indigenous tribes and the Western world, when they grow up for the first 3, 4, 5 years, they're focused on growing the heart brain and not the head brain. Whereas us in the Western country, we do it the opposite way around and wonder why
Yeah.
we're stressed.
Right. And why there's like anxiety and panic attacks and depression and
Yeah.
suicide rates are so high. Yeah, like there's been lots of situations in my life, and I come from a not really great background at all, like being abused, molested, raped, all those things have happened to me. I could have been one of those people who was suicidal. I know there were times in my life I was suicidal. And why? Because I didn't have something like this, like a something that made me feel good. I didn't know it was okay to get out of your brain. I didn't know it was okay to feel your body and feel that good. I had judgments around all of this. And because I lived my life to make everybody else happy and people pleasing and everyone around me was happy, I wasn't happy because I was in my brain. And when I found my body, my world changed because my brain really got in my way. It was like the biggest problem I had was myself and in my head, because I was constantly telling myself, because being brought up the way I was brought up and being told I'm not good enough, you'll never make anything of yourself at such a young age, I believed that. I wish that we would grow our hearts instead of our brain. That would, the children these days would just be better, I believe.
Yeah. For future generations to come, the whole
Yeah.
world to be better, really.
Yeah. I do think if we incorporated, this is why I teach self-love too, because a lot of people don't love themselves enough to be able to feel that. And if we all loved ourselves just a little bit more, the world would just be a way better place. There wouldn't be room for the violence and the pain and the suffering. I mean, that might still happen, but I just think self-love is the key to living the life that you desire secretly, because
So
everybody secretly desires the life.
Yeah. And self-love is another thing that I think is often misunderstood as just getting your hair done, which, as you can tell today, I haven't. Sponsored by Woody Woodpecker. And getting your hair done, getting your nails done, having a hot bath. Is that really all there is?
Well, that is part of it. If you like getting your hair done and your nails done and that makes you feel good, absolutely. I do, like, it's self-care. People take self-love and selfishness, right? But the difference between self-love and selfishness is self-love is like you're doing things for yourself to make yourself feel better, to love yourself. And having a bath, I do all kinds of bathing techniques with my clients so they can release and return to their bodies. And it is a very nice way to love yourself. But then selfishness is when you're taking something from someone else always, right? So if you have an expectation to get something in return, I'll do that for you, but you got to do this for me. I have like a friend who is actually really super selfish, and she's always taking like My one friend bottles wine with her, and she owns a wine store. And every time she goes in, she doesn't just, because we're all friends, right? So your friend would come in to bottle wine and you would help her bottle her wine, and then out the door she would go. Well, this friend, you go in and she'll help you bottle your wine, but you also have to help her bottle her wine. Like constantly, every time, right? If it was just once in a while, okay, fine. But that's like just that person that always has to take something, take something, take something. Why can't you just give that and leave it be? And that's the difference between selfish and self-love. If you love yourself, there's no room to be selfish. You don't need anything from anyone else. You don't need to take from anyone else because you have it all yourself. When you're selfish, you're constantly seeking out how to get the win. It's about you winning. It's about you getting something out of it. But self-love doesn't have room for that. Self-love will give, but it will also take care of this. So you just don't need anything from anyone. You're not taking anything. Your cup is full.
Yeah, there's a big difference between give and take and give and receive.
Giving and receiving is a flow of life. And I wish that we were taught to receive as a child as well, because people do not receive. And that's one of the things that I do, especially with the men that come to my Tantra sensual massage experience. I tell them, this is about you receiving. And they're like, what does that even mean? I don't even know how to do that. And I'm like, well, guess what? You get to lay there and receive. They always want to give back. Oh, well, can I touch you? Can I? And I'm like, no, that's the boundary here, because this is about you receiving, fully receiving, and all of the good feelings. And I've not had anybody not receive once they started and they're like, have to stop and be like, no, I can't do this. I've never had that happen. Because when a man actually learns what it feels like to receive, again, out of your brain, oh, I'm not supposed to receive anything, I'm a man, then you feel what it feels like to receive something. It feels so good. And they don't even know that that feeling exists because they've never been taught it. And whenever somebody gives you something, oh no, I can't take that. Did you know when you do that, you actually steal the other person's joy? Right? To me, that's selfish. You're taking joy away from someone else who's trying to do something for you, and you're saying no to them. And it can be anything, money, a gift, a gesture, a whatever. But I always, when I learned that, I was like, holy shit. And I realized how many people's joy I've stolen in my life by saying, no, I wouldn't allow you to help me or give me that or whatever. And I just feel like we need to be taught that giving and receiving is a flow. You don't want to be taking, you want to receive, and you want to be able to give too. And they both feel amazing when done in the appropriate way that they're meant to be given, right?
Yeah, without agenda.
Without the agenda, without expecting something in return. And that's one thing in my coaching is drop your expectations and your judgments. They no longer have room in your life. When I did that in my life, the world changed in my eyes. Like when you don't expect anything from anyone and you have no judgment about anyone, your whole world just becomes different, because there's nothing left. All we do is expect and judge. What if you didn't do that anymore? What if you just focused on you and you became a good person to other people and you got to feel amazing in life? And that's just how it is. It just sounds so like, woo. And that's probably why I'm the goddess. I'm like, woo. I'm all up there in these beliefs of like, that's not possible, but they are possible because I live them. And I know when I'm expecting something and I know when I'm judging something. I'm fully aware of those things in my present life, in my moments, and I drop them. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just having this expectation. I can't have this expectation. I will get myself out of there, because as soon as you put an expectation on something and then it doesn't happen in that way, you feel bad, or there's some negative something that happens or whatever, but you beat yourself up because of it. So what if you just didn't have any expectation and the outcome was the outcome, no matter what it was, good, bad, right, or wrong? That's just what happened. Oops. Okay. Next. If it wasn't good, I have like a next. Okay. That's
shit happens, as they say.
Yeah, right. And that's when shit happens. I just say, okay, next, because that didn't work. So let's try something else. If it's something you're actually trying to get to a point of, or there's a meaning or reason for it in your life. If not, just like that's when I go next. I'm over it, to the next thing. We're not dealing with that anymore.
So something I observe with women that tend to be, I'm not going to say stuck in the masculine, but certainly resisting the feminine quite a lot, whether that be social influences over the years, or social media, or just in the fight or flight mode. I noticed that they're the ones that have a tendency to have a hard time receiving. So I'm
Women?
wondering if, yeah. So
Yeah.
what I'm wondering is if women need to be in their feminine energy to be able to receive, or there's any connection between the two.
That's a pretty good question. I don't really know the proper answer to that, but I do know it is hard for women to receive which is really weird, because the man is always there to take care of the woman in our standard society views, right? And the women actually,
Yeah,
they take care of everything, right? So in a household, the woman takes care of the household, the children, the man, the everything. The man takes care of the working, the money, if we're playing like this typical game, right, of men and woman relationship. The man takes care of these things, but he doesn't have much responsibility within the household. So when the man starts to do things in the household, or starts to show up more and be like, oh, I'm going to take the kids, you go do something for yourself, the woman will be like, no, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. Like there's like a lineup of things. And I do think that women have as hard of a time receiving as men do, because we're taught that we shouldn't take anything from anyone, and we're taught that we have to be responsible for all of these things. And how we were brought up, like, if you're the oldest of a family and you had to help take care of your siblings, guess what? You're going to be taking care of everything for the rest of your life until you give that up, until you decide, I can't do this anymore, I need to take care of me. And that's the hard part about receiving, is if you can't receive yourself, like, I mean, for yourself, who you are not going to be able to receive from anyone else anything, because
yeah,
we're not taught how to receive on any level. And receiving is really important. And why women do that, I don't know. And I think it's just because we're out of tune with our hearts. If they would get out of
yeah,
their brain and actually receive that, and you can prime a woman to get there, right? Like, I would like to give you something and I really would like you to receive it, so could you prepare yourself for that? You could prepare them to have that thing that you want, if it's an elaborate thing, for them to receive it and not say no. But it's going to require communication, and it's going to require a little planning. And it's also, if you notice your lady's not doing that, why not just ask her, I don't understand why you won't receive this. Why do you have a hard time receiving? Sometimes we need somebody to ask that question before we realize that we're actually doing it, because we don't even know we're doing it half the time. We just go about life and,
yeah,
oh no, I don't need that. I don't need your help. I got this, blah, blah, blah. But what if she said, yes, I would like your help? Because then that's taking away her part in life, right? You just gotta figure that out with your woman. Just ask her why she can't receive, or why she has trouble, and how you can support her in receiving. When you have support, it suddenly turns around. Because, like, I would like to do
yeah,
these things for you, but you're not letting me. Why? Like, I really want to do this. It would bring me joy if you'd let me help you with the dishes or whatever. Because a lot of women will be like, no, I got this. No, I got this. Right. But what if you just
yeah. Just
asked?
do it when she's not looking.
Yeah. Right.
Because I know her to do list to be this long. It's like, okay, I know that's on there. I just don't
Yeah.
knock it off. I just knock it off. When she starts
Exactly.
telling me I'm in a unicorn and some crazy shit like that, I don't know. She's not used
Right.
to it.
Exactly. And that's really what it is when we're receiving something that we don't know, because if you're based in expectations, if I receive that from you, what's your expectation of me? Like, I want to give this to you. I don't want you to have any expectations. This is solely for you. I don't want anything in return. And that women don't understand that part. They're
Yeah,
like, what do you mean there's nothing, not, you don't want, well, there's got to be something I can give you or I can do for you. I can, because we're taught to only give, right? So we just want to
yeah,
give when somebody gives us something, we want, instead of just receiving it fully. And this even for compliments too, right? Oh, I love that dress. Oh, it's old, had it in my closet for 5 years, bought it at a thrift store, whatever, all these excuses we make instead of simply saying, thank you. Why are we not taught to say thank you? That's like one of the biggest ways to receive something. Someone gives you something, don't be like, "Oh no, I don't need that," or "I don't whatever." Just say thank you. It's really that simple. It feels weird as hell when you start doing it.
yeah,
But when you are in that place of being able to receive and you can just receive something and say thank you, bloody amazing. And sure, you have thoughts go through your head, I should do something in return, whatever, but don't let that out of your mouth. Just shut up
yeah,
and just say thank you. Sometimes we need to tell ourselves to shut up.
absolutely. So how do we integrate the mind, body, and soul?
Hmm. Well, I do meditation. I'm a big meditation person to get out of my head. I really like hypnotherapy because it works with the subconscious more than the conscious brain. And with some of the things that I've been through in my life, I still think that my subconscious brain needs some work. So I've been doing that over the last year and I've really been enjoying it. It's calming yourself, recognizing what you like, what you want, what you desire, what brings you pleasure, and tapping into those things. And having a higher power. I was an atheist for a really long time, and I still I cannot use the term God in my life. It's not for me, so to speak. I have nothing against this, but I do believe in a higher power. For me, I can use the word the creator. So I can ask the creator for anything I need, and I'm willing to receive from him. So God was used as a punishment for me growing up. So I had to find a relationship with him or her or that being so that it's accepted because I rejected it so hard. And now I can receive that finally. But it's because I did that internal work that not everyone's out to get me, not everything's against me. I had those feelings and thoughts, but you have to do the work of integrating it and whatever works for you, however you do it. I'm a theta healer. I do access consciousness, and those are both modalities. I love them both combined together. Access consciousness questions absolutely everything, which is brilliant. And theta healing is a divine connection with the creator that you can change your beliefs. And then I found Tantra, which then becomes a meditative experience where you're practicing being really present and feeling in your body. I'm part of this company called the Sensual Arts Academy, and they put on meditations, and we just did one where we did a little yoga practice with a blindfold and some your favorite dessert or treat that you wanted. And people think I'm crazy because I do these things, but I want to know my body, and there's so much more to it. Even though I explore it a lot, there's so much more to it than I even know. And so when you move that energy through your body and you're connecting, you're dropping your brain on judgments and thoughts, and you touch into your body and your soul, you actually feel like you're part of the divine. And how you do that, there's so many ways to do it. Like you can do tantra, you can do meditation, you can do yoga, you can do, I don't know, there's so many different things. Work with a shaman, work whatever. There's so many different ways, and so many people are so different. Like I might do yoga and you might not like yoga. So that doesn't work for you. Okay, fine. What will work for you? And I introduced these things
Kinesiology
with
does.
Tantra. Yeah, right. I introduced the deep state of relaxation through Tantra and getting you to clear your brain, because when you start to clear your brain, that's when you start to feel, and that's when you start to connect your mind and your body. And then your soul just joins in once it realizes you're doing that. Your soul's like, hell yeah, I'm coming in. Let's do this, because you finally got it together. I don't know the exact steps of how my mind, body, and soul hit when it hit all together, but I do know I feel whole in my life. I feel like radiant and vibrant, and I don't ever, or I don't not always feel this way, but it's not something like when I don't feel this way, it's just a moment. It's not days, it's not weeks, it's not depression sets in, right? It's just that moment. And I allow myself to feel that, and then we move on. You know, it can be that simple. You don't have to dwell on things, but that's getting your mind, body, and soul working together. And however you choose to do that, I've loved all of the modalities that I've tried, and I still use them, and I practice them. And again, if you want that, you have to practice. It's not something that's going to come because you were never taught how to do it. You weren't taught how to feel your body, love yourself. You're only taught to do for everyone else and give, 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 give.
Yeah.
And when you stop doing that and you start to receive and give, and you start to honor your body and you start to love yourself, then you just feel different. You feel like unstoppable, because nothing, I mean, things are going to bring you down, and you know things are going to happen. You're going to have situations in your life, but nothing's going to break you again. You know, you're so strong, and because you have your whole self and you trust your whole self and you believe in your whole self, it's, you can have that shitty moment, but it's only going to be a moment. And you become aware of that. Okay, it's fine. I need to be angry right now. I'm going to be angry. When that's over with, you get to go back to being happy instead of remaining angry for weeks, months, years, hold grudges, whatever.
Yeah. Just waiting for the next time that little part of you that stores that anger, that frustration, or whatever it is, gets poked or prodded or
Yeah,
triggered,
the
and
triggers.
then
And
then
that's
you go
just it. Like
bananas.
I'm really focusing on triggers, and there's the trigger that keeps happening, and I had to eliminate a person out of my life. And people say to me, they're like, how can you just cut her off like that? I'm like, because I'm not strong enough to be around her. This actually has nothing to do with her. I have some things I need to work on with myself, so the next time I see her, or we decide to have a relationship again, which I know we will, but I will be strong enough to not participate in that behavior, because that just triggered me back to who I used to be and who I don't want to be. And it came forth, and I was like super disappointed with myself. But then I just reminded myself, hey, look it, you have done so good. And this is just one situation that you are unable to stand strong in who you are now. And that's okay. I allowed myself to not be strong enough. And then I said, I can't have a relationship with you right now because I'm not strong enough to be around you, because I'm not. And that to me is okay. At least I can recognize that. And I need a break from you, because I don't want to be triggered like this all the time. I don't want to behave like this all the time. This is what I'm trying to stop, right? And there's only one situation that I'm having this behavior, because it doesn't show up anywhere else in my life, because I've learned to not do that. I've learned to better coping mechanisms, better ways to do things, right? But this one person, and of course it's family, and I just had to walk away from it for a little while,
Yep.
because it has nothing to
I
do
have
with
one of
her.
those as well.
Yeah, and I literally am not blaming her at all. It has nothing to do with her, other than she triggered me, and I'm not strong enough yet. So when I'm strong enough, we will have this conversation, and I know our relationship will be back on, but it will be better for everyone, because I'm not going to participate, and I'll be strong enough to say, no, I'm not participating in this, and walk away from it. But I just wasn't there. So it's okay. But that's what we do, is we judge ourselves about having to do that, or else we'll continue to have that relationship and continue to have that behavior we don't want to be doing, and judge ourselves highly for it. And then instead of just making the change, right? I know she's pissed at me because I said, I can't have a relationship with you. And she's like, hey, you're just going to cut me off just like that. And I said, yeah, I am. Bye. Like, and I'm okay with this. Like, I don't, and people are like, how you like, you're so like mean. I've been called mean. I've been called like inconsiderate. And I'm like, this is self-love. I love myself
Yeah.
enough to know that I don't want to behave like that. I love myself enough to know the only time I behave like that is around that person. I love myself enough to remove myself from that situation until I can be strong enough to be in that situation and not participate.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really goes back to the basic protection things from when we were cave dwellers with fight or flight. Because you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
fight. What's the other option? You either
Like,
freeze or you run,
mm-hmm.
heal, get stronger, save yourself, whatever needs to happen. So that, yeah, definitely a form of self-love, which all too often we don't use,
Right.
not in the
And
right
we need,
way.
well, but it's because we judge ourselves, right? And then we put ourselves
Yeah,
back in that situation where we do it again and again and again. And the more that you keep doing that, the more you're telling your whole self that this is who
yeah.
you want to be. And I literally do not want to be that person. Like, I have not done any of that shit for over 7 years and it came back. And I swear to God, the universe sometimes just throws shit at you to see if you're ready for it. So I know I'm constantly
Oh
being
yes.
tested. I know I'm constantly being, oh, maybe at that point I had not been focusing on my self love, self care area. And so that was thrown in my face to see if I could do it. And I couldn't. So I ain't judging myself
Maybe.
for it. I'm just going to do the work now. I'm going to do the
Yeah,
mindset work and the journaling and the stuff. And what do I need? Focus on what do I need so that this doesn't happen again? What do I need to do? Who do I need to be? What do I need to say? How do I need to feel? Because if I feel crappy going into that, I'm probably going to participate in shitty behavior. If I feel good going into that, I'll probably be able to stand strong.
yeah. Yeah, I think the part of the joys of family is they do trigger these emotions and situations that other people don't because they're closer. The
Right.
challenging thing is when you've got that person that triggers the heck out of you and you have children with them, you can't cut that person out of your life without cutting the children out.
Right. There's different circumstances for that.
Yeah,
Right. This is like when it comes to, there has to just be a literally drop your expectations, drop your judgments, and be there for the kids and say what you need to say to that other person, the parent, other parent, do the co-parenting. It does not mean you need to be part of anything in their life or participate. And this is what I teach a lot of my co-parenting clients is I'm not participating in this conversation, and walk away.
yeah,
If it's something you don't want to participate in, but you've noticed when you participate in it, you just start fighting and arguing and you start doing that circle conversation where it goes nowhere. You can simply be like, you know what? I'm not participating in this. This has nothing to do with our children. This is a personal matter and we are not together. So we do not need to have this conversation. What do you need to tell me about the children that I need to know? That's the only conversation.
yeah,
If it's that hard, that's all you need to have. And be okay with that. The other person will be like, what? What are you even doing? And be like, this has nothing to do with the kids. Why are you asking me about that? Like just start
yeah,
putting that focus solely on the children so that you can walk away from that relationship. Right?
yeah,
Like that personal relationship that's intertwined with those children, but you don't have to have the personal relationship if it's not there and you're not there. You can just set that boundary. Okay, we are not talking about anything personal anymore.
yeah,
I have questions about the kids. Can you answer these questions? Is there anything else I need to know about them? A no? Yes? Okay. Bye.
yeah. Because for me, I think it was probably about 10 years ago now, where one of my girlfriend at the time said to me, well, why do you still have attachment to her? And I'm like, I don't, it's only because of the kids. And she says, but you call her your ex-wife. I said, well, that's what she is. She says, well, she's the kid's mother. By calling her your ex-wife, you've have that little bit of attachment, that little string that's still there.
Yeah.
That was a big realization for me. So ever since then, it's either been the kid's mother or a name, and that's it.
Yeah. Exactly, right? You want to get rid of those personal attachments if you don't have a healthy relationship, or it's toxic, or it's just whatever it may be that's not healthy, right?
Yeah.
So and then you have to turn the focus onto the children, because you really want that experience for the kids to be the best experience. And seeing the parents fight like that all the time is not healthy for the kids either.
No.
So
No,
it's just a
definitely
matter of how you want to handle it. And my best response is, I'm not participating in this, because you actually can't even fight that. Like when you say that to someone, they look at you like, what? Like, especially if they're trying to argue with you and you're like, I'm not participating in this. And they're like, what? How do you rebuttal that? You can't, right? You just simply can't. What do you mean you're not participating in this? What does that mean? It means I'm leaving now. Bye. You know, like it just gives you that power to like end that crappy conversation.
Yeah, if you can't have a civil conversation with me, we are done. Goodbye.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I'm not participating in this. I'm out of here. I say it a lot. I find myself saying that a lot, like especially when people start gossiping or like talking about politics and stuff, that I just can't even. I don't participate in those conversations, and I'll just be like, "Yeah, I'm not participating in this," and I get up and leave the table or whatever, and everybody's like, "What?" I don't want to talk about another person, because I don't want people to talk about me, so I don't do gossip.
Yeah.
If you have a concern or question or something about someone, I will talk to you, but I will not sit there and talk about somebody else. I'd rather, if I have something to say to you, believe me, I will tell you to your face. I do not have a problem with that.
That
But
I
I'm
do
not
not
mean
doubt.
either. Well, you can't be mean either, right? Like you can't be like all up in someone's face in business and not expect a fight to happen if it's a bad thing. There is a way to effectively communicate toxic things or hard conversations. There's a way to have them so that you don't end up in a fight. But both people have to be willing to participate. And if they're not, then you have to decide what's best for you in that moment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that, yeah, Tantra for me is really about, it really brought me into the present moment. And I can be in any present moment. And like even just sitting outside watching my little birds. I don't know. I've never really done that in my life before. I mean, I've enjoyed some things, but to actually sit and be present. And yesterday I decided I asked the universe, I said, universe, show me something beautiful. And I went outside and I was looking at my birds. My little family of quails came by, and there's 12 of them, and the little finches were around. The rat was out. 5 hawks flew above me, and my 2 bunnies went running by. That was just being present in that one moment for me was like, it made my day, right? There were 2 deer on my walk. It's just everything just kind of fell in because I was feeling a little off. I needed something to remind me that I'm here and I need to be here now. And then I was like, well, that was awesome. Like the last 2 hours have been all these beautiful things. But if I was busy in my head, I would not have noticed any of them. Oh yeah, there were 2 doves too that were sitting up on the wire. It was just crazy. All my birds were all out in front of me, all in one shot. And I was just like in heaven in that one little moment. But if I had been caught up about like, why am I feeling this way? And thinking about all the things that are making me feel this way, right? Or that are going through my head, that if I had paid attention to my thoughts, I would have missed that beauty that was right in front of me, right? So we can be going through something and make it less challenging if we can just be present and ask for help. People don't ask for help. And I just ask the universe sometimes because I don't know who to ask for help when I'm caught up in my head, right? So I just ask the universe and I say, show me something beautiful. And then you kind of look around and then you get to see something beautiful and you're like, oh shit, it's right there in front of me. But I had to ask to see it because my blinders were on. I was in my head. I couldn't show up. And I love Tantra for teaching me to be present. Like be completely present in a situation. If you're having a conversation with somebody, if you're even just with yourself, be completely present in that moment. Feel what you need to feel. It's okay. It's allowed. If you don't feel good, that's okay. That's also allowed. but allow yourself to feel it. And I think we don't allow ourselves to have the shitty feelings. So then they build up and then we explode. So allow yourself to have that feeling. Allow yourself to sit in that. If you need to go punch something, go punch something. Don't punch someone, right? Like, use your anger in appropriate ways. It's okay to be angry. It's not okay to be angry and at somebody and like
Yeah.
project it to that person, right? Deal with your anger, then go deal with the person. Don't
What
deal with
heavy
the
metal
person while
music's
you're
for.
angry. What?
That's what heavy
Pardon?
metal music's for.
Exactly, right? Trash it out, get a punching bag, go for a run, walk, whatever you do. It doesn't matter, but that is about being present and allowing ourselves to have emotions, because we don't do that either. Allow yourself to have that emotion, allow yourself to feel it. And when my couples that I work with too, if they're having high emotions, I just tell them not to even talk to each other then. Walk away, take a break, deal with your emotions. When those
Yeah.
emotions are done and you've figured out what's the problem, then talk about that problem without the emotions. I use red light, green light, yellow light in conversations.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes if it gets heated, I know I will lash the hell out. So I say, yellow light, I need a break, and I go for a walk and calm myself down. Okay, what do I actually need to say? And when you can figure that out and not have the emotions high in hard conversations, you actually move forward in the conversation and you create a solution. When you're just angry, yelling at each other, nothing gets solved.
Yeah, absolutely. Things only get worse then.
Mm-hmm.
So, question that's come up for me now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a question that I asked a guy called David Kite when I interviewed him yesterday. And it took him by surprise a little bit, because it's a little bit deep. And I'm sure you'll be okay with this one. It's a question inspired by Jim Carrey. And when he took a bit of a breather from making movies, someone asked him why he was doing that. And he says, well, because for the first time in my life, I can look in the mirror and say, I've done enough, I have enough, and I am enough. So at what point in your life were you able to look in the mirror and say, I am enough? And if it hasn't happened yet, what has to happen so that you can?
I definitely am there. I am enough. The point, I knew it probably about 2 years before I left my marriage, because I was able to do that. I was a person, I couldn't even look in the mirror like at myself. I mean, I was a makeup artist and I looked really good all the time, but I actually never even looked at myself in the mirror, you know? And when I started to do that and I started to work on that, and it was a couple years, but that I could say I am enough and feel good about it. And when I left my marriage, and about a year after that, before I took my Tantra training, is when I really felt like I am enough. I am good enough. I am worth it. I am. And then I just started to live my life that I am enough. I didn't, again, I think that's dropping the expectations and the judgments helps you feel more like you're enough,
Yeah,
because I don't
definitely.
expect anything from anyone. I don't even expect anything from myself. So whatever is meant to happen will happen. I do believe in everything happens for a reason. Nothing is by coincidence. And if you follow the signs, you'll get there. But yes, I am definitely enough. I love myself a lot. I know a lot of people are like, you love yourself a lot. I get told that by my friends, like, because I do.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. But I also love other people as hard as I love myself. So you get the benefits of that being around me, because I was told when I was younger, you can't love anyone else until you love yourself. And I was like, fuck that. I love myself. You know, they were right. I did not love myself.
Yeah.
I was just covering up a whole bunch of things. And then now that I do love myself, I'm a better lover. And I don't know, I think the point probably would be about a year after I left my marriage when I finally was like, I don't need to. Yeah, I do believe I am enough. I do believe I have a purpose in the world finally. And I do love myself a lot. And I'm okay
But
with it.
not in an arrogant way, though.
No, I'm not conceited or think I'm better than anybody else. I don't have that. No.
Beautiful.
I'm a kind, generous, loving person, and I would literally give you the shirt off my back, even if it was the last one that I had in life. Like I am a giver. Receiving was really hard for me to learn how to do, but I can do it now. And I know there's times where I have to like remind myself to just say thank you and not say all the other stuff. And I say all the stuff in my head and it doesn't come out my mouth. It's just our behaviors, we get to define who we are. We get to choose that. We get to have that opportunity. And what I've loved about this whole journey too is I've been able to teach my children how to do this as well. And they love themselves and they're 24 and 27. And I don't have to worry about them going sideways in life because they have too much respect for their own self. And I'm really proud of myself in my life for all of the things that I've achieved. And for the Tantra part, the dynamic connection and experience I create when you're in my presence it's just 2 hours for an individual experience. My couple's experiences are 5 hours. But it can be life-changing for you if you are ready to show up.
Are these experiences all face-to-face or are some of them online or?
No, my Tantra sensual massage experiences, I have not figured out how to do a massage online. So I don't do it online. Cannot feel what you feel when we're together. But I do courses on the art of loving yourself. And I do one-on-one coaching for that for people. And online, that's my online business. My in-person business is my massage business. And I love it. I actually don't even know. I wish I had have done this my whole life instead of just starting at 40, right?
Yeah.
But I wasn't ready for it, and I know that.
How can people reach out to you and get in touch with you if they'd like to know more?
Well, I don't have a website, so you can't go there. But I do have Facebook and I do have Instagram, and I'm Goddess Andrea on Instagram. And on Facebook, it's Andrea Maynes, or you can follow my page, Sexpectations. And you can send me a message on either of those platforms.
And I'll drop these into the show notes as well. So.
All right. If you find my profile, you can send me an email.
No worries. I'm sure you'll get something from it.
I hope so.
And final question. As this podcast is called Relationship Revolutions, if there was one thing that would bring a revolution to people's relationships, whether they're in the dating phase or in a long-term relationship, what would that one thing be?
Learn your partner's value and bring that out of them. Because you will be with the most magnificent person in the world if you stop focusing on their faults and start focusing on their value.
Yeah. And then from there, they might even see their own values instead of just their faults.
Exactly.
I love that. Andrea, thank you so much. It's been an honor and a pleasure having you on. And I'm sure we will connect again sometime soon.
Thank you, Alan. I love talking to you.
Thank you for listening to the Relationship Revolutions podcast with Alan Watts, the Love Engineer. If you found this episode useful, please like, subscribe, and share.